What's up guys, Steven Ducks here. Today we're going to talk about a little bit different than the normal stuff we've been talking to you. Today we're going to focus on what's the ideal capital to start how to trade penny stocks. Let's say if you're completely beginners, you have no idea what to look for. The first thing is I would suggest just going to Google and type what's penny stocks, or go into my YouTube channels and to say what things you can pick up. Just get a general idea of what penny stock is. And the second thing is, when you want to go into an industry and people are thinking about, well, I will only invest $500 or $1,000, that's not going to work. The first thing is, if you go in to trade a stock blindly and you have no idea what technical analysis is or fundamental analysis is, you're just blind buying into it, it's worse than casino. So the most of the time you will lose almost all your capitals. And the first thing I did is I looked into other than gurus or mentors, and I know I'm gonna run into some of the scammers and stuff. But it's good to have them to kind of find out what's the real strategy is. It's good to have the general community and you can kind of dive in there to find what's the real strategy. Now, how to really find strategies, as I talked about in the previous video, you can use statistics to really see what's the highest winning percentage of the pattern and to see how they are performing throughout half a year or a year. To dive into the industry and be consistent profitable, I would say it will take about 6 months to a year to help you really get into the rhythm of how to really trade. I would recommend starting with at least 20,000 because I would say half of the money will go into educations, how to learn technical analysis, fundamentals, and just watch people live trade or subscribe other services other people have. You will boost your knowledge much quicker from learning the market, because learning the market, the first thing is you will get emotional very, very quickly. Once you start getting emotional, you will lose control. Once you lose control, you lose your account. Most people blow up in that way because they refuse to really listen to others. And I think 20K is a decent size because I started with 27,000. Pretty much half of the money went into education and half the money I started in my trading account. Now, if you're under PDT, you can split your funds into multiple brokers and you will have more trades throughout the week. Right now, I don't really trade that much because I place around 3 to 5 trades per week. So just despite how many times I trade, it's pretty much under the PDT rules. If you have a decent sized account, I would say the maximum you should place in your account is around, I would say 200,000 to 300,000. I wouldn't really suggest to go over that. It's better to have the capital in there if you have, let's say, over 200 to 300,000, but I wouldn't suggest to use more than 200 to 300,000 in capital in one trade. Penny stock land, which is very small compared to futures or options market, the more you size in, the more you will affect the market, especially on those low floats. And if you're sizing too big, short positions on a low flow, you will easily get blown out, because once the stock is going to the opposite directions you're expecting and you're starting to cut your losses, the spread will make a huge difference. And also, just by the volatility of the low flow, you will lose much more money than you ever expected. Other than that, in a regular flow, the average volume we typically trade is between 10 million to 30 million. So if it's over 30 million, the trade is considered to be crowded. I wouldn't suggest being trading that. Now, within that range, 10 million to 30 million, the correct size into each trade is around the maximum size you can size into each trade, I would say around 50,000 to 70,000, sometimes 100,000. Now, for me personally, I wouldn't want to size in if the stock has not very good odds, and I do not want to size in over 30,000 because on each trade, if the stock is trading certain volume, there's correlations between volume and how much capital you can put into a trade. So you have to be really careful with the volume and capitals. I would suggest building like a spreadsheet to find out what's the ratio and what's the volume, because if the volume is bigger, you can size in more. And now if the maximum goes to 30 million, because if it gets super crowded, you cannot really predict where the direction is most of the time. So for me personally, 30,000 will be the best for a decent trade. Now, if there's a high odds or the perfect setup, I was sizing about 100 or 200,000 or more. No more than 300,000, because I think that's very, very risky into the penny land. That's pretty much for all today. One more thing I want to mention about, you cannot really rush into this industry. Even though when you're putting a game, it takes about 2-3 years for you to master it. Same thing with any other industries, either gaming or trading, or investing in real estate. It takes time. So be patient. You will see results after you work hard for 2-3 years. At that time, you won't be really regretting how much money you invested in the industry. So I would say 10,000 to 15,000, it's cheaper compared to just investing in real estate. That is everything for today. If you want to learn more about penny stocks, click the link below, and I will see you guys next video.